It was a radical idea in the 1880s to hire women and send them west to work as waitresses. To fight the notion that waitresses were loose women, the Fred Harvey Company instituted a prim and proper uniform.
We were dressed like we were nuns. Our whole body was covered.
You can see there was nothing but our faces and our hands that showed. And those skirts on those uniforms were Indian head linen, and they were heavy, and they had to be starched stiff. They were awful to iron.
It looked just like a nurse's uniform, long white sleeves, and then as we carried the trays, you know, the black spot from the tray, you know, marked up your uniform. So they had to be washed often, and then we had to iron them ourselves. So that part was a little bit of a pain. We did wear our little black bow on that white uniform. But in the evening, we wore a black satin full-length skirt with the bands of color around the bottom, and then a blouse that was embroidered, hand embroidered, with red flowers around our neckline and all.
The romance of being a Harvey girl during World War II was unsurpassable. We had white uniforms, white as snow. I was very proud of that uniform. Felt like, you know, that if the soldiers wore uniforms, we girls wore uniforms too.
Many of the Fred Harvey Company's eating houses and hotels maintained the traditional black and white uniform, but some, including La Fonda, the Alvarado, and the Albuquerque Airport's Kachina Room, reflected the region's decorative and cultural traditions.
I didn't feel like that I was just a waitress. I felt like more of an ambassador for Fred Harvey. You could see our skirts, how beautiful they were, and our blouses and everything. And that's what Fred Harvey wanted, everything to be perfect. This uniform was worn for luncheons in like the New Mexican Room, in the La Canita, and this was in the 40s. And this is a very heavy crepe. And then it's cut on the bias so that when you would walk, carrying a tray or just walking through the room or whatever, your skirt would swish, and it would give such a nice, graceful appearance. And as you could see then, we didn't wear the concho belts. We wore these beautiful weaved, they were about this wide, in all different colors that you could wear, that were weaved by the local Indians, and you would get them and wear them.
I was divorced, and I had 3 little boys, and I had to have a job. The best job around to make the most money was at the Kachina Room. This is a photo of about the second uniform that I had made. The skirt is navy blue, the blouse you can see is white. It was very frilly, beautiful. And the girls began to follow suit. So by the time I quit working there, a lot of the girls were wearing the quite ruffly skirts and ruffly blouses, and I loved it.
Being a waitress at the airport was a lot more fun because of our uniforms. We had these big 6-foot hoops. Turquoise and silver was my cup of tea, and I loaded my uniform.
I became very interested in Indian arts and crafts many years ago, and the jewelry that was allowed in the Fred Harvey curio shops was the very top grade. And the girls knew that I liked it so well, they allowed me to look at it first before it was put out for sale. When I would get through with the luncheon shift and I would have pretty good money in my pocket, I would go out and find what I wanted and put it on layaway. And I really was able to accumulate a vast amount of jewelry.